Do you enjoy the harvest of Missouri through food, fuel, or fiber? Interested in strengthening your community or making a difference in the lives of others? You're in the right place. This is Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care. Join us for thoughtful conversations around the intersections of farmer, rancher, and consumer interests. Grab a seat, press play, and join the conversation.
Welcome back to this edition of Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care. As always, we are happy you've joined us today and have another interesting conversation that we are featuring on the podcast. Today's guest is Quentin Rund, the project lead for EAGIC with BioSTL. Quentin, welcome.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
So we, as Missouri Farmers Care, has gone about our work, and we often talk on this podcast about workforce needs, technology, innovation, and adoption in agriculture, and are striving for continuous improvement in what we do. Many of those conversations have come back to exactly what Quentin does every day. So, Quentin, you've got a lot of acronyms in what you do. I just mentioned EAGIC. I'm going to throw it open to you to introduce our listeners to exactly what EAGIC is and your goal and role in the ag innovation workspace.
Okay, very good. So EAGIC is EAG. Let me try that again. EAGIC is it stands for Early Adopter Grower Innovation Community. And so what we're trying to do with the program is provide another way for technology to get to the farm. And what we saw happening is farmers were being inundated from all sectors with new technology ideas, people pushing new technology at them. And it's kind of hard to run your business and sort through all that information at the same time. And we wanted to provide a new avenue where we kind of start with the farmers and say, what is it you need? What kind of things, where are your pain points in your operation? What kind of things could be fixed or run more efficiently and things like that. So it's about technology, it's about ag tech and how it's applied on the farm, but we're spinning it on its ear a little bit and starting with the farmer and saying, what do you need? Where are you hurting? Where's your pain points? And so that's been the basis of our program. BioSTL, who runs the program, that group is of course based in St. Louis there. And it's a nonprofit, kind of an economic development group. So it's been working with the ag and food sectors to bring innovation to the region. So it's based in St. Louis, but certainly it's serving all of Missouri and the surrounding states, really.
Well, our conversation today is a very timely one. It's a busy time in agriculture. It's a busy time on the farm. And as you said, those pain points make themselves very apparent this time of year when labor is maximized, equipment is being maximized depending on the weather, right? Of course. And we really see where our bottlenecks are on the farms. So we've talked about it from a broad perspective. Can you give us a couple concrete examples of the technologies that you're connecting growers with and then getting grower feedback, right, on those technologies and providing that bridge between the two?
Well, that's right. Yeah, our program starts with just letting people know about the program, and we've been working with some groups in Missouri and other states about connecting with farmers, and so they've introduced us to some innovative farmers. But it's not just being innovative that's part of it. You got to want to tinker with the technology a little bit and try it out, see how it fits. One of the things that we start with, and our conversations take a little while to, when you start to talk to farmers about what it is you need, they're not really used to that question necessarily, or I found anyway. Mostly they've been approached with, would you like this solution, or this many tons of whatever product. And so when you ask them a kind of an open-ended question like, what do you need? Sometimes just talking about the needs of other farmers, some of the technologies that are out there, gets them thinking about how they could use some of those technologies in their farm, gets them to open up a little bit about, well, I've been doing this, but this hasn't worked quite right. And so I'm kind of looking for some answers there. Probably the most common need that we come across has been rural broadband, right? A reliable high-speed connection in rural areas. And we don't necessarily have the solution for that or anything, but we certainly are working with people who are, and it's nice to see the investment that being made right now in rural broadband, and whether it's fiber or some of the wireless options that are available now. But I know that's a concern for a lot of farmers, and it's really becoming a limiting technology, right? You can't do some of the precision farming things if you can't get to your data and you can't use it in a daily fashion, something that's easy to get to. So that's a big common problem that's out there, but we get into some specific ones with individual farmers as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, I found that rural broadband is probably the limiting factor. Workforce. Let's talk about workforce and rural broadband are often limiting factors to expansion, growth, entrepreneurship across probably rural and probably urban Missouri as well. And yet broadband is one of those things that is very hard individually for any of us to address, right? It's hard to individually do something about, but I know there's a lot of leadership in Missouri. Our Department of Ag, other state agencies, our governor have pushed very hard for broadband dollars. I think Missouri is an example of success in broadband for the number of dollars that are coming down to, as you're exactly right, that's an overarching need to power many of our tech solutions. There's a lot of holes out there, as we all know, where you simply cannot get cell service or broadband or access your data, as you said, to power what is a very scientific, innovative ag tech that is used even in our most common applications.
That's right. And you said the workforce development, those things kind of go together, right? If you want to attract people, if you want to keep people in the rural areas, they need to be able to access the internet and use that just like they would be able to in a larger city. So, I mean, I do think they're connected and definitely interwoven there. They're issues that go together. So
it is very quickly become a part of the fabric of community life. The quality of a community can be judged by especially young people that are very tech savvy coming back into agriculture by accessibility to broadband and all of the opportunities that opens up.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. It's certainly, and it's proven, right? I mean, you see studies on the economics of counties that are able to provide that service. They make more money, right? So it's a real thing. It's not just an inconvenience. It's an economic development issue. So
absolutely.
But
yes,
we do get some more specifics, some more one-on-one tangible items that we've worked on, and we've been at this for a couple of years now. And so what we do is we talk to farmers about their needs, and then we have a very good domestic and international network of innovation centers. And so we work with companies and incubators and things for startups in Israel and Argentina, all over the world, right? So when we get an idea from a farmer about, well, I'd really like to fix this thing. So for example, one of our farmers was interested in monitoring his grain, stored grain in the bin. And he said, I don't want to fuss with all the cable systems. I don't want to make a major investment here. I just want to not have to climb up to the top of the bin often to check the quality of the grain. What's out there for that? Is there a little puck I can throw into the grain while I'm loading it and things like that? So there's a lot of solutions out there, but to fit those specific needs, we were able to find a company that makes a sensor that measures the CO2 in the headspace above the grain at the top of the bin. And it's a really easy setup. Drill one hole in the top, drop the sensor cable through, and then it's a magnetic mount to the top of the bin and communicates that information back to the fan, controls the fan, provides all the information on the smartphone to the grower, and voila, right? He doesn't have to go up, climb the ladder, open the hatch and take a look. He's now able to monitor that grain without that. And so there are specific examples like that where we find a need, a very specific need in this case, and are able to find a solution provider for that. And that's what we've tried to do. We had about 5 what we call pilot projects in 2020. So battling through all the COVID nonsense and getting that done. So the grain bin one was one of those. We had a soil sampling unit that would go out and it, instead of sending sending samples to the lab, it was able to go through the field and using a gamma ray sensor, right? This is exciting, Buck Rogers stuff, but using a gamma ray sensor going across the field, then it measures, I think, 27 different soil qualities, including nutrients and then soil structure as well. So that was another pilot project that we repeated again on another farm in 2021. So our pilot projects have been a great way to kind of test our whole process, and the feedback we're getting from the farmers we've been working with has been just wonderful. I mean, they've expressed that, you know, they don't have time to go out and research all these new technologies. And it's so nice to have somebody kind of curate, kind of look through all the options that are available, sort out what will work for them, and then pilot that on their farm. So that's been our process, and it's been very effective so far.
What appeals to me as I've talked through these opportunities and pilots with you, just getting to know this project over the last several months, there are so many, as you said, there are so many solutions out there. It is mind-boggling to any issue you may have, from records to technology to tracking soil health. And I like this where the rubber meets the road approach to really help ground truth these for agricultural purposes, right? It's to really see that these are applicable, usable, practical technologies for what are, as you said, if you're looking for tinkerers, I can't imagine that you could find a higher percentage of people who like to tinker and innovate than those in agriculture, right? I don't know how broad the term is, but the saying about, you know, you can fix anything with baling wire and duct tape. This is a group of people who can tinker and who can make something fit for their purposes. So I just love this interface to help that become more broad, first of all, more targeted to exactly the needs of agriculture, but then a broader adaptation of those technologies because they really are meeting needs on the farm. And that's what I see for EAGIC that is so practical, helping agriculture move forward in our quest for continual innovation and improvement.
I thank you for that, because I mean, working with farmers is a great group of people to work with, right? I mean, it's a lifestyle in addition to a job, right? And you're right. The tinkering is part of the job. Making things work, keeping things working is part of the job. So when I get a chance to help out with things like that and see something successfully implemented, or even seeing something that didn't quite meet maybe expectations, but we talk about it and we can go back to the companies and say, hey, this worked, this part of it worked, this part failed a little bit, you know, maybe if you improve the interface here, that would help the farmer out. And being able to relay those things back and forth, kind of a product development role in some cases, that's been a lot of fun. And farmers are very willing to share what doesn't go right with certain things, and they're good about sharing what does go right. So I'm not, it's not one-sided or anything.
Yes. Yes. Well, if we didn't learn from our mistakes, I feel like each year is a firm learning opportunity in agricultural production cycle, and you master one thing and find that there's another weakness in your production system, or weather has granted you a different hand or whatever it may be. So if we didn't learn from our mistakes, we wouldn't get very far. So you said you'd had several pilots, you made it through COVID. What's 2021 heading into spring of 2022 hold for your innovation network? Are you looking for growth, new producers? What's it look like in the next year?
Well, I thank you for asking that. Yeah, we've gone through a couple of seasons now with pilot projects and doing things on the farm, and we've kind of purposefully have kept our farmer community pretty tight so far, pretty small. I think we have 36 farmers in Missouri that are participating, and it's been very much a referral process and to add new people to the group. But I think what we'll see in 2022 is we've got the mechanisms in place, right? We know how to talk to people about needs. We know how to source these solutions. We know how to try them out on the farm and write up the results. So I think we're looking to expand and increase the number of growers that are participating in the program. That would be our goal for 2022.
And is your footprint across Missouri, Illinois, and other states?
Well, it's primarily in Missouri right now. So you can imagine you start out in St. Louis and the connections we've made with the farmer organizations in Missouri have been just spectacular. We've gotten great referrals to farmers. We get some referrals and a farmer may say, no, I'm really not interested, and that's okay. We can do that route. But we keep them on the newsletter list. We send out a monthly newsletter and we talk about the different technologies that are going on. And even with our small group, I've seen where a farmer who initially says, I'm not interested, they'll read about a technology in the newsletter and say, hey, I didn't know that was available. And so they get involved then. So it's nice to keep that brewing. But yeah, we've got farmers right now in our program in Missouri, in Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana. So it's kind of covering the Midwest, but again, the heaviest concentration is in Missouri right now.
Yeah. Well, you are from Illinois, right, Quentin?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm near Champaign-Urbana. So
yes, well, we take that state motto that we are the show me state pretty seriously here, and so that's probably why you have so much adoption from Missourians, is we really want it proofed, right? Like we're quite willing to make sure that it works here and adopt. So maybe that's why you have such adoption across the show me state.
They're great producers to work with, and I really want to say I want to thank. We've been working with the Missouri Department of Agriculture, the Missouri Farm Bureau, different commodity groups, MoSoy and others, and they've been very gracious. And once they hear about the program, see what we're trying to do, see that it's a genuine effort to, keep Missouri farmers globally competitive, right? I mean, it's a global market for farmers right now. They have to be innovative. They have to be efficient. And the support of those groups in Missouri particularly has been a tremendous aid to the program. Yeah.
We appreciate that. Here in Missouri, we work our agricultural ecosystem, you may say, the whole spectrum of ag producers, associations, the Department of Agriculture, through Missouri Farmers Care, work really hard to collaborate well together, right? We're trying to raise all opportunities. And so I appreciate that plays out to you, and you can see that, with partnerships here in Missouri. So where does somebody go to find out more information? Is there a cost? All the details.
Okay.
Where does how do you reach out?
So BioSTL, the group that I'm working with, this project is from, it's a nonprofit organization, right? So it's out there to support economic development for the region. And so there's no cost to farmers to participate in EAGIC, but I'll say sometimes we'll get a solution from a company and maybe they have it commercially available already. And it's just it could be commercially available in California, say, but not in the Midwest. And so we're introducing an existing commercially available technology to Midwest farmers, and they may have to pay for that. We've had some pilots this year. We've been working with a remote sensing company in Turkey, and they were interested in supplying imagery to the US market. So they offered to supply imagery to farmers in exchange for feedback on their system. So you access your maps, you access your imagery through your cell phone or through a web app. And our farmers that participated in that, they could sign up their acres, didn't cost them anything other than the company wanted to get feedback on how's their system work for US farmers. So it's a range of participation fees for the farmer, but it's not from EAGIC's point of view, it comes from that solution provider.
Yep. Just while I'm sitting here and having this conversation, I can think of many innovative farmers that are listeners of this podcast probably that would be a perfect fit as tinkerers and those willing to really put some thought into what works well for their farm and their neighbor's farm. That would be fantastic. So if they want to go find more information, is there a newsletter list? Is there a website? Do they reach out to you directly, Quentin? Where's the best place to go?
Well, a good place to start would be the BioSTL website. So that's biostl.org. And then our project is /EAGIC. Okay, so that's our web page, and there's information there about the needs we've uncovered with farmers. We share those. We don't say which farmer had these needs or anything like that, but we kind of list them out there. And then we also share what we call a pilot preview. So when we find a farmer need and we find some solutions that could address that, we don't just present that solution just to the farmer who expressed it, but we make that solution available to other farmers as well. So you can read about some of the solutions that are out there and available. And there is a newsletter sign up on the website, and you can put your information in there, or my email address is out there on the website too. You can direct email me. That's a great way to get started. And you mentioned farmer to farmer discussions, and that's kind of how our network has grown. Now we've got some introductions from Missouri Farm Bureau to get started in Missouri. And those have led to referrals to other farmers who have expressed a similar interest, I guess. So yeah, that web page would be a good place to start. And there's a little contact us form on there that you can fill out.
Great. And we'll have that link here in our show notes to this episode so that anybody who's interested can follow up through that. I appreciate it. So Quentin, anything we haven't hit on that you think helps growers and providers understand EAGIC and your goals?
Well, we've covered the basics here, and what's been fun about it is it hasn't been a solution we pushed out there to people. It's a solution we said, hey, we have this opportunity to develop a new pathway to farmers. And the farmers and the solution providers have kind of helped channel us in the right direction on what works best. So these pilot programs have been very good, but sometimes farmers just have questions about a new technology, something that they've heard about, read in a magazine, and they ask me if they just want to know somebody else's opinion about it. And I'm happy to help with those things, or in some cases, like I mentioned, we'll get a farmer who says, well, one farmer we had was, wanted to have AB lines on their farm. Is there any solution out there for that? Well, there's a commercially available solution, so I can refer them to that technology. It's hard, like you mentioned earlier, it's so hard to keep up with all the innovations, all the technology that's going on right now. So I'm happy to help facilitate that process.
Yes. Well, we appreciate that service to Missouri agriculture. You're offering that service is why we wanted to highlight this opportunity as one of the many things that came out of our visit to St. Louis recently to BioSTL to get a better feel for their leadership in the ag tech innovation for Missouri producers. There are mind-blowing technological advances that are going on in St. Louis in our backyard. And every time I walk away from there, my mind is a little bit blown, sometimes because of the amazing tech we're able to harness, whether that be genetic or otherwise. And sometimes because the innovators are so far out there that I spend quite a bit of time picturing how that works for adoption on Missouri farms, right? And so I think your role in bridging those gaps what is a fantastic one, and we very much appreciate it. We've appreciated your conversation today. We hope that this has spurred some people to think about the needs that they have on their farm or the solutions that they may have run into that want to join this early adopter grower innovation community. And just appreciate your time, Quentin. I've been working really hard, guys, on getting the name of the EAGIC acronym down. So it may not have been perfect, but I've been working on it to make sure that we can connect producers with this opportunity in Missouri.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the program today, and absolutely would love to hear from some of your listeners. So.
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in to this episode of Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care. We're going to have more conversations with BioSTL leadership about some of the other innovation that's going on in the ecosystem that they're building that's really helping drive ag tech, plant science, and many other facets. Rural healthcare is one of those as well that they touch on. And so make sure to look for that episode as well on where you consume Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care. And my best, again, thanks, Quentin. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you for joining the Stand for Ag podcast with Missouri Farmers Care. We're excited to bring you new stories each week. We as agriculturalists have a lot of stories to tell. Stories of resilience, grit, and stories of families that are united by their passion for agriculture. Each week, tune in for a new episode and join the conversation.